that you guys didn't see. However, in the moment that I acted, I was acting to protect the situation, protect my brother from further harm.
You won't believe what happened when Kimmi discovered Maurice's huge secret. It wasn't just another affair story. It was a scandal that turned their whole relationship upside down and shocked everyone around them. On the outside, Kimmi and Maurice seemed like the perfect couple. They had a strong marriage, a close-knit family, and were seen as one of the most solid pairs in their circle of friends. But, as we all know, things aren't always as they seem. Maurice had started acting distant. He began coming home later than usual, acting secretive, and avoiding deep conversations. At first, Kimmi tried to brush it off. She told herself he was just stressed, maybe overwhelmed with work. But deep down, she had this feeling that something was off. The energy between them felt different. She could feel it in the way he avoided eye contact and how he would snap at her when she asked him simple questions about his day. Still, she didn't want to jump to conclusions without any solid proof. Then, the signs started to add up. Maurice was getting calls at odd hours, and he guarded his phone like it was a state secret.
Saying that this is all the reason, but True T has really done an amazing thing for Miss Black Titanic, and I appreciate that. And it's always good to see creators supporting other creators. But child, y'all go over there and listen to this, cause this right here is the clown of the year, baby.
He would end conversations the moment she entered the room. Kimmi decided to pay closer attention, and one night when Maurice came home late once again, something inside her told her to check his phone. What she found was enough to make her heart drop. There were messages, pictures, and proof of a completely different life Maurice had been living behind her back. The woman wasn't some random person, she was someone Kimmi knew, a person from their social circle. This made the betrayal even worse. But Kimmi didn't break down. She didn't lose control or scream at Maurice. Instead, she made a decision. She came up with a plan that would change everything. What Kimmi did next turned a personal betrayal into a public reckoning. She made sure that both Maurice and the other woman were held accountable in front of everyone who had always thought they were the perfect couple. If you had ever seen Kimmi and Maurice together in public, you would have believed they were the kind of couple people write songs about. They were always coordinated, smiling, and inseparable. They seemed to have the perfect relationship. People admired them, and other couples even looked up to them. Kimmi wasn't just Maurice's wife, she was his partner in every way. They posted cute photos of themselves, attended events together, and handled tough family situations as a team. But here's the thing, sometimes, the couples that appear the strongest on the outside are the ones falling apart inside.
Maurice owes my family an apology. More so because a lot of times he'll have this perspective of, it was a joke, or I was trying to be funny, and it did not land at all.
Kimmi had no idea what was really going on beneath the surface. To the outside world, they were the couple everyone wanted to be. But behind those perfect smiles was a truth that Kimmi never saw coming. Everything changed when the signs started adding up. What happens when the person you thought you'd spend forever with starts acting strange? At first, Maurice's changes were small, just little things. He was still around but seemed emotionally distant. Have you ever been in a room with someone, but they felt like they were a million miles away? That's how Maurice was. He started working later, and his meetings seemed to go on forever. His phone became glued to his hand, and he always made sure it was face down when Kimmi walked in. That kind of behavior isn't just odd, it's a red flag. Kimmi would ask him simple questions like, "How was your day?" But he would either give vague answers or get defensive. You know, when someone gets uncomfortable over a simple question, it's usually because they're hiding something. And then there was the phone. Every time it buzzed, Maurice would twitch, like he was scared Kimmi might see something. Sometimes, he'd even leave the room to answer it. Kimmi wasn't naive. She knew something was off, but she didn't want to jump to conclusions. She convinced herself that maybe it was just work stress. You know how we try to make excuses to avoid facing uncomfortable truths? But the signs kept piling up.
Bit 100, and before you get on social media, TV, YouTube, talking about what you think you know, maybe reach out to the people that you're about to talk about and ask maybe if it's true or not. Because it can land you in trouble when you speak of people that's not true.
Kimmi thought she was overthinking things, but deep down, her gut was telling her something wasn't right. She couldn't sleep, she felt anxious, and her instincts just kept screaming at her that something was wrong. One night, when Maurice came home late again, he claimed he'd been at a meeting. He didn't look her in the eye, went straight to the shower, and left his phone on the dresser unlocked. Something inside Kimmi told her this was the moment to check. She picked up his phone and started scrolling through it. And what she found wasn't just a couple of flirty messages, it was full-blown proof of a secret life. Maurice had been sending romantic messages, good morning and good night texts, and even I miss you messages to another woman. There were pictures of them together in places Kimmi knew she hadn't been. Maurice had even saved photos of them together, as if it was perfectly normal. This wasn't just a random fling, it was a full-blown emotional affair. Maurice had been living a completely separate life. But here's the real gut punch, the other woman wasn't some stranger from out of town. It was someone Kimmi knew well. Someone from their circle, someone who had been around at family barbecues, birthdays, and even girls' nights out. Kimmi had laughed and shared meals with this woman. Imagine how that must have felt. You're hanging out with someone, thinking you're just being friendly, while they're secretly sleeping with your husband. That's not just disrespectful, that's next-level betrayal.
What I'm saying, nobody knows what I did when I left, and nobody knows what he did when he left. It's speculation.
This wasn't just about Maurice cheating. It was about someone close to her, someone she trusted looking her in the face while secretly plotting behind her back. This hit differently. It wasn't just about a broken marriage anymore, it was about someone trying to take over her life. And that's when the heartbreak turned into anger. Instead of breaking down, Kimmi chose to take action. She wasn't going to cry in silence. She made a plan. Kimmi didn't flip out right away. She didn't throw things, scream, or flood Maurice's phone with messages. She went quiet, and if you've ever been in a similar situation, you know that silence can be deadly. Kimmi started collecting everything: screenshots, call logs, dates, and pictures. She pieced everything together like a detective. And what she discovered was even worse than she thought. The other woman wasn't just having an affair with Maurice. She was trying to be Kimmi. She started dressing like her, showing up at events Kimmi had to skip, and even trying to get closer to Maurice's family. This woman wasn't in love, she was trying to take over Kimmi's life. Kimmi realized this wasn't just about Maurice anymore. It was about someone trying to steal everything she had worked for. That's when she decided to take her pain and turn it into power. Kimmi did something no one expected. She made her pain public. She didn't just confront Maurice in private, she did it in front of everyone. She waited for the right moment at a big family event where everyone would be there. And then she stood up. She started by explaining how she had noticed Maurice's behavior changing. Then she pulled out her phone. She showed everyone the messages, the screenshots, the dates. She even said the other woman's name out loud, right there in front of everyone. There was no yelling, no chaos, just cold, hard facts. People were stunned. Maurice tried to talk, but what could he say? The proof was right there in front of him. The other woman couldn't even look Kimmi in the eye. In that moment, Kimmi went from being the betrayed wife to the woman everyone was cheering for. People saw her strength, her courage, and how she took control of the situation. She didn't let the betrayal break her. Instead, she turned it into something powerful, something everyone could respect. The fallout was immediate. People started commenting on how Kimmi handled the situation. One person said, "Kimmi handled this like a queen. That's how you take back your power." Another said, "The fact that she did it at a family event? That's boss level." Kimmi had the receipts, and she had the stage. She had taken control of her story. Now, let's be real, after Kimmi exposed everything, there was no going back to normal. Maurice tried to clean up his image, but nobody was buying it. His reputation crumbled. Friends stopped calling, business contacts went quiet. When trust is broken, respect fades fast. Meanwhile, Kimmi stood firm in her truth. People respected her not just for what happened to her, but for how she handled it. But here's the big question: what happens next? Can Kimmi ever trust Maurice again? How do you rebuild trust after something like this? Some couples try counseling, some separate, and some call it quits for good. But sources close to the couple say things are still up in the air. One minute, it seems like they're trying to work things out. The next, Kimmi's posting messages about healing and moving on. Is this just a rough patch in their relationship, or is it the end of the road? Some betrayals are so deep that not even love can fix them. What would you do if you were in Kimmi's shoes? Would you go public like she did, or would you quietly walk away? This situation is one where everyone has an opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on this story. And that's the story, folks. Kimmi's journey from heartbreak to empowerment is a powerful reminder that sometimes, the most difficult moments can lead to the strongest transformations. It wasn't just about the affair, it was about reclaiming her life, her power, and her dignity in a way no one expected. She took control of her narrative, faced the betrayal head-on, and turned it into something she could be proud of. Maurice, on the other hand, learned the hard way that actions have consequences. When you break trust, you risk losing everything: respect, friends, and the life you built. And for the other woman, well, she learned that trying to steal someone else's life comes at a high cost. There are no shortcuts to happiness, especially when it's built on deceit. But here's the real question that lingers: what's next for Kimmi? Can she rebuild her relationship with Maurice, or is this the end of their story? Some couples do find a way back after betrayal, but let's be honest, not all wounds heal, especially when the trust is shattered like that. Whether they decide to work things out or go their separate ways, one thing is clear: Kimmi has emerged from this stronger than ever. She's taken her pain, turned it into power, and shown the world that no one, no matter how much they hurt you, can take away your worth. So, let me know in the comments, if you were in Kimmi's shoes, how would you handle it? Would you confront the situation publicly, like she did, or would you take a different approach? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. This is one of those moments where there's no right or wrong answer, just what feels true to you. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You know we'll be keeping an eye on this story to see what happens next, so stay tuned for updates. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Remember, your story is yours to write. Make it a good one.